the odds are in your favor if you just continue pushing forward.
Yeah.
Believing in yourself when no one else does is a really, really hard thing to do. But the more that you can do that, the better off you will be for the long term.
Your favorite phrase?
Nike, just do it. So much in life is like, you just have to do it. I can push myself and there will be a reward here. And I think that learning that balance and learning your own personal boundaries is really important. And that's kind of just growing up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tea with Nadia, episode 2. I have Monique here with me. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too. I think we're going to dive into so many great topics. We touched base. We can start with, I want to get to know you. Tell me about your childhood.
The golden question. Okay, so I grew up in a small town. A lot of people who meet me now can't really see that for me. I grew up in a small town in Northern California, so I'm still a California girl at heart. I have a little sister 6 years younger than me. She's like my best friend in the whole world. We grew up together with our mom. Yeah, I danced a lot growing up, and as soon as I turned 18, I left and never intended to return.
So when you left at 18, what did you think? Where were you going? What were you wanting to start?
So, I mean, I was so sheltered growing up. We really didn't go on any family vacations. We didn't do a lot. The nearest In and Out was like an hour away. So we really didn't do a whole lot. I always felt like I just didn't fit in. Dance was kind of like my safe haven. I danced a lot, and that has kind of shaped who I am now, just being that safe space growing up in a fairly chaotic environment. And yeah, that was like really what I was doing 24/7. I didn't focus on school so much. I was really only interested in dancing. And yeah, that's how I got through that time, but I never fit in, and I just knew I didn't want to be there. Like, something inside of me, I've always been a person that feels like in my body, kind of like intuitively what is right and what is wrong. And I make a lot of my decisions based on that. And I knew my whole life that I was not meant to stay there.
Something was pulling you.
It was pulling me. Yeah, exactly.
So I feel like I love that you had dance at such a young age, because building that foundation, because life can have its ups and downs.
Absolutely.
So having such an amazing foundation like dance, something to just fall back into.
Especially like through puberty and those really tough years. Yeah, right. And it was really important for me. I still dance. I teach dance.
Oh, nice.
In Newport.
Okay.
And that's really fun. Like, it's just so wholesome,
When you teach, what is it, an age range, or is it everybody open?
So I teach adult classes
okay.
right now. I used to teach up in the Bay Area. I used to teach a wide variety of like kids, usually like competitive dancers. And I've always been most interested in ballet. So that's what I teach. It's just always been a part of me. And, I think like with everything else in life, I'll stray from time to time, but I always come back to it. So yeah, I agree. That foundation is like one of the things that raised me for sure. Yeah.
So we spoke, and you've had some unfortunate, life events.
Right.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So growing up, our mom, she was a single mother. She definitely struggled. We grew up in pretty severe poverty. I think that in hindsight, I feel that that's really added to my character, but at the time it was tough. We didn't, sometimes it was tough for us to even go on like a $20 field trip. That definitely hindered our ability to kind of experience other things in life. That was like a huge focus. And then, a little bit later on, around right before I graduated high school, our mom was diagnosed with, I think it was like stage 3 breast cancer. And she tried to fight that alternatively for about 2 years before she passed away when I was 19. I think I had just turned 20. Yeah, so that was and my sister was 14, which I can't even imagine. She's quite literally like an orphan for the remainder of her high school career. And that you can see that in her as well. We're both very, very strong. It has its downfalls as well. It was tough for me in a different way, and we both kind of grieved in our different ways. I could not be home. I left my sister. She was in high school, and I just kind of knew that I needed to pave the way for her, which was tough because I know that she also needed me during that time. And like we've gotten very, very close now at this point, and we've like forgiven each other for how difficult that time was for each other.
Yeah.
We've always been very different people, but yeah, I mean, in the end, like
That's really mature of you guys, because a lot of people do not have that maturity to be able to recognize, hey, we went through all of this, we can forgive each other.
right.
Some people don't have that awareness where they can say, we were not in the best situation.
Right.
So let's be nice to each other.
But you know what? When you do like overcome those kinds of things, typically with siblings, like it's just you're so much stronger.
Yeah,
You
not all.
And
Sometimes it's enough to, but
Right,
you guys are, yeah.
you
So
see that all the time.
so that I love that about.
A strange sibling.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, for us, like we don't have anything else uniting us. We have our grandma. She's 90 years old.
Aw.
She's on oxygen 24/7, but she's like the love of our lives. We absolutely adore her. And we moved her down from Northern California down with us to Southern California, or I suppose I did. My sister was finishing up her college career in Sacramento. And she's been with us ever since, about like 4 years now, give or take. And she's much happier. It was like fire season every year was scary because she couldn't get out, after our grandpa had passed away, which unfortunately he passed away just 2 years after our mom.
Wow.
I know it was
Just recovering from your mom, and then your grandfather.
It was hard for sure, especially like being a young adult during that time. Like you have so many questions, I think, as a young adult, especially like we didn't have a super strong family background to begin with. We had grandma, grandpa, and mom, and that was like our whole world. But then venturing out into the world, like not even having like, city street smarts, like it was a lot of failures. It was a lot of lost friendships. It was a lot of poverty, like just living in my car sometimes. Like I have stolen food before just so that I can eat. I have had like a number of different jobs in my life, things that I wanted to do, just like constantly trying to push forward. And I have like the greatest empathy in the world for young women, young people who are like trying to pave their path in the society that we live in right now. And I mean, it's always hard for a young person, but I think I have a special empathy just experiencing that myself. And I'm 29 now, so that was more my earlier 20s. And I, thank goodness, have figured out a lot of things, and I'm grateful.
You're resilient.
Yeah.
You're the definition of resilient.
Well, what are your options, right? I just attended like this really, really beautiful event, a She Ready event through Tiffany Haddish for a fundraiser for foster youth. And one of the speeches that really resonated with me was someone was saying, foster children are not something to pity. They're the ones in society that often overcome like the greatest hurdles when you do overcome your battles. And it's true,
I was even listening to a podcast. It's called The Founders. And
I've heard of that. Yeah.
And there was a story about how Rolex, got started. He was an orphan.
Yeah.
So
It's
sometimes
always
people,
greatest.
that's been through the most actually accomplished,
Right.
because it really makes you bet on yourself.
True. That's
Yeah.
absolutely true. And, I have like, though I wasn't raised with a strong set of family values, I am a Taurus. We love our home environment and our security. And I mean, family is everything to me.
Yeah.
Like grandma, for example, like I could very easily put her into a convalescent hospital and just not have to deal with her and it sold her house, but I couldn't like live with myself doing that. And I see so many people
Do that.
do that. Yeah. And I mean,
That's the right thing to do, and it's good for your heart.
it is like, I think also seeing people in my life that I loved, that were my like providers and protectors in my life, get sick and fade away, pass away. That's a really hard thing to watch. I always debate, is it easier to like lose someone instantly or watch them get sick and fade away? I don't know the answer, but what I do know is that when you have to watch someone fade, it builds like this really, really strong sense of like empathy and, like you say, resilience. And it's just a lot easier to connect with the world once you do like the healing. You can really connect to your highest sense of self, and you can connect with others in their highest sense of self.
So you're a model.
Yes.
What, tell me, because not everybody knows all the ins and outs of modeling.
Right.
What are the different industries and what made you get into the one that you're in now?
Okay, so let's see. I think, being a dancer has really, as I said, shaped who I am now. I love the camaraderie of like my fellow dancers, and I loved that growing up as well. I found that a lot in modeling. As I said, like I kind of really didn't fit in growing up. I never fit in school. I mean, like I had my dance friends, but even then it was just really tough for me. And ultimately, around 16, I made my mom take me all the way to San Francisco, which was the nearest city to us. And I submit digitals, and I got signed to my first agency at 16. And I didn't book anything with them, but it was still a good experience. It took a lot of like courage. I grew up part of like the Victoria's Secret era, watching the runway shows and, dreaming of being like a model for Guess and that period of time.
Yeah.
And it slowly grew. However, at the end of my high school career, as I mentioned, my mom did get sick. That was really shocking. And when I say that, I mean, it was like I lived in denial for sure. Like it was just, I didn't even accept that at all. And I think my mom had like a lot of like issues growing up. Like it was a lot of like struggling and like for her. And so it was just another struggle for her to me at the time. And I didn't, what does that even mean to a teenager?
You're still trying to process, what is this life? Why am I here? What am I doing?
Yeah, what's my next move?
The one that's supposed to guide you.
Right.
You're trying to juggle it all.
Right, yeah. And then, of course, having to think about my little sister in a different way as well. I took a break from modeling for a period of time. I moved to Santa Barbara. My mom was getting her treatments done, her alternative treatments. She never had chemo or radiation or anything. No surgeries, lumpectomies, etc. And I don't know how I feel about that decision, but of course that's a very personal decision. I could never judge her for that decision. I do wonder what would have happened if she chose different not alternative methods, mainstream methods. But I took a break. She got sick. That was really my focus for several years. And it wasn't until after she had passed, I was living in Santa Barbara. I was so depressed. I was so depressed. I was so alone, away from any sense of family, being that young, like grieving like that. It was definitely really challenging to relate to anybody. And so I built a lot of a victim mentality. Like nobody understands what I'm going through. And there was a lot of truth to that, but it kind of just feeds into that victimization. From there, my great girlfriend took me down to San Diego just to kind of get out a little bit. And I fell in love with it. And I was like, I need to get out of Santa Barbara. It's gotten too small for me.
Question for you before you continue.
Yeah.
How did your mind get out of the victim mindset?
I think I'm still getting out of it.
Yeah.
I think that like we have tendencies all of the time.
Yeah.
I think that it's just not empowering at the end of the day. And that realization, it's not even a realization as much as it is a practice. But I just feel personally that like I cannot be a powerful, strong leader in this world if I'm feeling bad for myself. Don't get me wrong. Like I wake up and it's the wrong time of the month and like I'm a miserable person.
We're allowed our bad days.
Yeah, exactly. I have my bad days, but like that's just my philosophy, I suppose. Like my general philosophy that I try to live by. And again, it's a practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a frequency.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And we just have to try our best to like always tap into that higher frequency.
And every time that I do, every time I'm like, I either just like surrender to like whatever you believe in, God, the universe, like good things come to me.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm in that state
Yep.
of flow, you know, and I'm like in a healthy state, like it's very important to have your brain chemistry right
Right.
as
Correct.
well. Yeah.
Agree. 100%. So there's the editorial that more you started and you were thinking, and then eventually you get into the runway.
Well, I think how I kind of got back into modeling is I was living in San Diego. It wasn't really working out for me there. I was there for several years doing just, you know, nannying and waiting tables and things that weren't pursuing the greater good of my life. I worked at a law firm for a moment. I thought I wanted to be, what is it even called? A legal person.
Assistant or something.
Litigate, no. Paralegal, thank you.
Zero.
Yes, a
Yeah.
paralegal. I thought I wanted to be a paralegal.
Okay.
That is not the case. I can't be in an office. I need to be out and about in the sun. I started to model on the side again. So I was driving all the way up to LA to do my modeling jobs. And I remember a photographer said to me, you know, if you're really going to do this, you cannot be down in San Diego.
Okay.
You need to come up to LA. You just need to live here. You need to like, that's right when Instagram was really getting into like the influencers of the world. And like the algorithm hadn't even come into play yet. So it was a great opportunity for me. I grew a lot initially when I did that, and it became something that I really, really enjoyed doing. I love the content creation aspect. I love the production aspects, the creative direction of it all, and like collaborating with the photographer. So that really got me started. And from there, so much of modeling is networking. That was really all print work that I was doing. And me personally, like, I think it's very important for any aspiring model to know what they're working with in the current moment, not what their potential is, but like in the current moment, and accept where you are and go for it. Because I can't tell you how many times I've weighed exactly as much as I do right now, and I have convinced myself I'm not going to get that audition because I'm too big. I don't look like these other people. But then I do it and I get it. And I'm like, it's just so much is in your brain, right? So it started with editorial and print work, things that you'd find in a magazine or, you know, like e-commerce kind of things, odd jobs. Sometimes it was like, you know, a Japanese cell phone commercial, like just anything really.
Any experience is good experience.
Exactly, right.
And it only prepares you for the next thing to come.
And I had such a ruthless attitude at that point of like, okay, am I really going to work as, you know, an office assistant in San Diego for the rest of my life? Am I going to be a nanny? Am I going to be? No, of course, I'm not going to do any of those things. Like, I know that I need something more to stimulate myself. Like, I have to tap into my passions to really not struggle with anxiety and depression. And I've learned that about myself. And yeah, like from there, it very quickly, I started to get into Runway.
Okay.
And Runway is just, it doesn't pay as much, but it is so fun. Like, it's just fun. And I have gotten so many jobs out of the networking experience that these shows give you. So, for example, like, you know, it's just basically a giant hub of photographers, media, other models, makeup artists, hairstylists, directors, designers. Like, it's a very, unless you're booked for a campaign, it's rare that you have that much in such like a small space, right? So you get to meet so many people. If there's anything that I've learned from Runway, it is that networking is so critical in this industry, which again, I'm a Taurus. Like, I love my bed. I'm not great.
You're like, okay, let me get out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
I love how you light up. You just lit up right now, like when you're talking about the runway.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
You know, it also taps into like the whole camaraderie of dancing and like being backstage for the shows and like being a part of something bigger than just the magazine or, you know, something that you accomplish individually. You're working with a team, and I think I'm a very team-oriented person. Like, I really am very happy and bubbly always backstage. Like, I'm never upset backstage, you know, like with all my girlfriends.
You're like, I'm in my element. This is amazing.
Absolutely.
Nice.
And seeing the same faces in New York and in Miami and in LA, like, it's just so, I guess it's almost kind of like the family values thing for me again. Like, I just love that. I love to see the same faces. I've really made so many good friends, and I never would have imagined that because there's a lot of stereotypes about models, you know?
Yeah.
But they're some of the most beautiful people that I've known and met that really understand the challenges of being a beautiful woman.
Because I feel that maybe some people make assumptions. And so you're meeting other women that have probably had their own things that they've overcame, and so you're like, you get it.
right? And just, the way that men treat you sometimes, like there's so many different things. You never really know what to get. And it's also, you just live in fear a lot sometimes, like I think that as a woman, we have to really be on our best defenses. Unfortunately, like when I was a bit younger in my earlier 20s, like I think I was nicer to the general population, like a lot more. And now I am not as eager, unless maybe I'm with somebody and I feel a little bit safer. I'm not as eager to check in on the homeless person that I just saw fall, which makes me
It's a
sad.
safety thing.
It is. And and it makes me sad because like that's who I am, but there's this factor of danger. I've been followed before.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been like there've been numerous instances, and then especially in this industry, you get taken advantage of a lot. But again, I feel that that's contributed to my character and like my sense of values for my friends. They're my family. Like my friends know that like if you were gonna like be dying in a hospital across the world, I'll go.
Aw,
It doesn't happen.
that's so beautiful. I feel like at
But
the end of
everyone needs that.
yeah, everybody does. But that's really what life comes down to.
Yeah.
It's having that
It's you
strong
love.
yeah, for people. What are things that you do that help you stay grounded and
I guess I should start with my therapist. I've been seeing her for many years now. I absolutely love her. She is a great source for me
Mhm.
of, I don't think you ever stop needing a mom,
yeah.
ever. And I have never really had that sounding board in my adult life. So my therapist likes to say that young women, especially without like strong guidance in their early adulthood, there's just kind of a question mark in everything that they do. That resonates with me a lot. And being accepting of that I don't have to know how to do everything, that whenever I am just doing things from a good place in my heart and soul, I do it so much more confidently. And I didn't always have that. I think at a certain point, I decided, you know what? No one really likes me when I meet anybody. So I'm just going to be nice. Like, what do I have to lose at this point? And that broke down a lot of walls with other women. And that's kind of how I got close with them. So having like my support group, having the other women that like I can aspire and look up to be as well. Working out is really, really important. I kind of briefly mentioned that I struggle and have struggled with anxiety and depression a lot in my life. So, I think with any mental, I mean, it's not that it's a disability.
No, it's not at all. It's we all have our ups, our downs. I feel like they try to put this label and make it like something's wrong with you. Like you're a human.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially as a woman.
Yeah.
Especially as a woman. Like, I thought for a really long time that there was something like severely wrong with me. Like, psychosis, bipolar disorder, something. I went to my psychiatrist and I'm like, I am sick. you know? And he's like, no, you just have anxiety. And
I like that they made you feel like you're okay with that.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But that said, like it's still something that needs to be honored because it is something that like I'm currently facing and battling. I've struggled with it a lot more in the earlier stages of my life than I do now. I have a handle on it now, but that is because I do things like journal. I have my baby dog. I love her so much. As I was saying, like I don't say no to opportunities, like no matter the size of them. I really try not to because it's kind of just like slashing one of my tires, and like I don't want to do that. I want to just keep growing and moving forward, and that helps to contribute to my sense of self and my capability as a person, as a model especially.
And then I remember you said earlier when you get up and you get ready to do your modeling,
Yeah.
that's actually good for your mental health too, because you show up and you're like, I'm ready to conquer the day.
Yeah, totally. Well, yeah, that kind of leads into like my love for fashion and how I fell in love with fashion. Several years ago, I remember I had been gifted this beautiful designer bag, and I went to the mall, and for the first time, everyone was paying attention to me, asking me what I wanted. And, at first I was like, this is so elitist and conceited. And then I realized that, like everything else in the world, this is just a tool. It's a tool to help you feel your best on the days that you don't wake up feeling your best. And that's normal and that's okay. You wake up and you show up. If you show up to the part that you're trying to play, I feel it's a lot easier to play it when you're dressed the part.
Yeah, I agree. I love that.
And just everything else, you know, with everything being like a little question mark, any extra ounce of confidence that I have really, really helps me. It
Makes a
really
big difference.
contributes, yeah, to what I can give in the moment. It's kind of like my self-care in a way, how I choose to present myself to the world. It's very special. And everyone deserves that, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's nice to just get up, get going, even if you don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
Just
I know.
and then have, of course, the self-care days where you're just, it's a nothing day. It's a nothing day.
I've got tiny like owl leggings in my closet. It's either like full glam or owl.
Yeah,
In between.
exactly.
But no, that's, I mean, even that is like, you know, representing your style. But I'm more so speaking like in an environment where you need to like show up and be your best self. Like, yeah, if I'm just running to the grocery store, taking grandma to a doctor's appointment, like I'm in mommy mode, so to speak, in those instances. But when I have to show up for myself, I suppose,
Okay.
that's really when I want to dress the part. And you feel it on the inside too. If you're dressed as a princess in the world, then you treat yourself a little bit different. Like there's so many little psychological factors that play into being a woman, being a person in this world. For example, like getting your nails done, like literally that contributes, just not even like consciously acknowledging it, but just seeing that your nails are done.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes people make fun of it. Oh, you look, oh, are you overdressed? Or, oh, you're a main character. Like,
Be the main character.
what's wrong with
We're all
loving
in our own
yourself? Like,
movie.
who am I going to love more? I'm sorry.
Yeah, totally. I agree.
But they make, I don't know who's they, but I'm just thinking like, it's not a bad thing to love yourself, to put the time into yourself. And
Absolutely. And I think that that's so important. It has been shamed through different acts of feminism, I think. And to each their own. That's fine. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with being the girliest girl.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with your depth or your ability to get your hands dirty. It's just wearing multiple hats.
I think what people confuse is if you're looking in that way, then they think you're not humble. Like you can be both.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can love yourself and also love others.
Which is fun. I mean, I've obviously, like, I've definitely fell in love with fashion, some designers, etc. I didn't even know what Gucci was when I was 18, but now things are different and I'm in a different place financially. I'm able to kind of like pursue some of the fun, fashionable things that I enjoy. I definitely get some heat for that sometimes. Not necessarily heat as much as I can see there's a bit of like a prejudice about me of like, oh, this Orange County princess girl, you know, with never had to work a day in her life kind of thing.
It's like,
And that's fine. I take it because
you're like, why not? Know me for that girl. Yeah, that I was so that girl.
Exactly. And at the same time, you know, there's like this aspect of pity that you get when people know that you're not put together. There really is something to be said for dressing the part, for showing up. Like you gain people's respect, and it's only human nature to have judgment upon what is going on around you. The people that you meet, it's how you decipher if things are safe or not. So completely cutting out that humanistic trait, I don't think is reasonable. I think, again, it's just something that we should honor as a society. Like, I feel safe around this person based on their appearance, based on how, like, that's not such a bad thing. Of course, don't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
But you're not judging a book. You're just judging the first page.
Yeah.
And that's different.
If it was up to me, I feel like I would love to have everybody just feeling and doing whatever they
showing all of your insights and your gut.
And we all love each other equally. But back to what you're saying, that is the rules of life. And you really just have to roll with it.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna, nobody's coming to change the game. Like learn the game and play it.
Right. And that doesn't mean that there's not still beautiful people, like, and beautiful moments. I've been such a rebel in my life, which is interesting now that I'm kind of like swinging into pageantry and stuff. But I have been such a rebel my whole life. Like societal standards, anything that I can't make sense of that is just the norm, I've really rejected. I don't like that. So in that sense, I really don't have judgment for the way that a lot of people live their lives. But at the same time, you know, like
human nature, like what you said. Yeah, for sure.
Totally.
So you were mentioning something about your favorite phrase. What was that? It's so simple.
Yeah, I think we're talking about Nike.
Yeah.
Nike, just do it. And yes, true, because like so much in life is like, especially what I'm doing now, like entrepreneurial endeavors in general, is like you just have to do it. Like even if it's just one step, even in struggling with depression too, like knowing all the little life hacks of like just do it, just make your bed, just do that one thing.
Something
You
small.
know, right. Like just do your skincare routine, like just do it. Like, and that has really helped me because I think I get paralyzed sometimes. I'm like, I cannot do this. I don't know how to do this. Like I've always kind of had that like sense of like lack of security in me. I remember one time, literally kindergarten, my mom was like trying to drop me off at school and I was late and I was like, I'm not going in there because I'm late. Like I was just so embarrassed that I was late. And granted, I'm like chronically late in my life now, but back then, like
We're getting there.
yeah, I literally remember just like not wanting to like to go and do it. And I found that like I miss out on so much in my life when I don't feel 100% to do something. Like that doesn't mean that you shouldn't still do it. And again, it's like a balance, like a give and a take. If you really are not feeling up to something and you know it, like, and you have to honor and respect yourself, okay, that's one bucket. But the other bucket is like, I can push myself and there will be a reward here. And I think that learning that balance and learning your own personal boundaries is really important. And then once you learn them, see, okay, maybe I can push this boundary a little bit further. And that's kind of just growing up.
Let's talk about what's coming up for you.
Let's see, this Saturday, I am leaving for Miami Swim Week.
Okay.
And that's always a really fun time of the year. I have a lot of girlfriends in Miami. I love the culture in Miami. And it's just one of the best shows of the year because it's so fun. You know, it's not quite as like serious and hardcore. It's like everyone, it really just has such a good time. The shows themselves are always really fun and flirty, not like serious. So right now I'm booked for 2 shows, but I'm going a week beforehand to do castings and hopefully I get booked for more.
You will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will. And yeah, I mean, outside of that, there's just so many, again, great networking events. It's such a fun time. I love to see all of my girlfriends and yeah, then after that, I'm gonna go to New York, check in with my agency. After that, later in June, we have Beverly Hills Fashion Week, which I'm actually a part of.
That's so exciting.
Yes, I'm a production assistant for them, and that's really, really fun. It's a new show, so it's up and coming. It's going to be just like a little pop-up event supporting our later event in October. And after that, I'm just going to be focusing on preparing for my pageant, which is in August.
Any special things that you're doing in your preparation?
Yes, so Runway's definitely helped train my walk. However, pageantry has a very specific kind of walk, and that was tough to learn. Just like I didn't have the muscle memory like in my body yet. It's in my body. I got it pretty quickly from, I think, just dance and already having runway experience. So I do practice that often, like every day. And then interview just, you know, what I stand for, who I am. It's kind of been a very intrinsic journey, pageantry, and I got into it in the first place through walking this past New York Fashion Week just in February with the current title holder of Miss Universe, Victoria. She was Miss Universe Denmark, and she made Miss Universe. So she's really lovely. I walked a show with her. I met some other really lovely girls who are also in pageantry, and they're like, why don't you do it? You should do it. And I got home, and it just felt right.
It was another moment where your soul was like,
Yeah,
pulling you.
totally.
Okay.
Totally. And it feels so right. I've always kind of like been a little princess.
I love
And with modeling, you know, it's a beautiful thing, and I love so many aspects about it. All the behind the scenes, working with the designers, like being their subject is so wholesome and beautiful and artistic. But there are pieces of myself that I want to be able to share with the world that I can't really share as fluently as I do in pageantry or have the ability to in pageantry. modeling versus pageantry and influencing as well. So in pageantry, you have to really know yourself. You have to know what you stand for. You have to be a part of something bigger than just yourself. And those are very critical aspects to being a title holder. And I've had to do a lot of soul searching, I guess, in the last several months and really decide, okay, what moves am I making in my life? Like which direction? Because I have my hands in so many different buckets, taking care of grandma, being a sister, modeling, the influencing, just all of these different things, the Beverly Hills Fashion Week, and traveling so much. And all of that is amazing. But this has forced me to kind of slow down a little bit and look at like, where do I really, really want to direct my attention for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years? And I think everyone kind of needs that. This just expedited that for me a little bit. And yeah, it's been a really, really amazing opportunity this far. It feels good to be a part of the fundraisers and charities.
Do you have any favorite charities right now that you're...
So, I mean, this is like kind of not fair because I was just a couple of days ago part of this event.
So recent.
Yeah, but the She Ready Foundation is a really, really beautiful foundation. I worked with Kara Son, and she's called the Fashion Fairy Godmother, and she kind of like will help a lot of like young youth kind of dress for proms and things like that. So we had like this adult prom that we were all a part of. A few of the pageant girls got selected to do that and that are running for Miss California. And we all were fitted in these gowns and then they were auctioned off. So it was a really beautiful and special event. Obviously, foster care is something that resonates with me a lot because I didn't have a strong foundation myself.
When you're working with the children, do you talk to them a little bit maybe about things that you've gone through?
I would in the right setting. I mean, again, I used to nanny, but there were no kids at this particular event. Yeah. I think I'm going to start getting into, in terms of like charity work, I really want to incorporate, at least right now, my grandma and just kind of anyone who doesn't have like a grandkid. I can see that like my grandma, for example, she just has my sister and I, and we're busy. We're trying to figure out our lives still. And if it were up to grandma, we would be together 24/7. And even just, I feel like having some kind of like, or starting like a pen pal foundation, something that's even just localized, that will give me the opportunity to also kind of focus on spending more time with my grandma. So kill two birds with one stone, or feed two birds with one stone. And that's kind of the direction that I'm like thinking of right now.
You're already having so much. The more that you pour into yourself now, you can do that.
Yeah.
That you're doing what you're doing now, so that way all of these ideas that you have, you can do it in the future. Because we don't want to, we have to put our, you have to take care of yourself.
There's so many little things. I'm like, okay, that's
That's for the future, the near future.
Right,
It's around the corner.
Yes, absolutely. I definitely want to get that started this summer for sure. Yeah, so that's going to be really fun, I think, too.
Yes. So I know you have the pageant coming up. Super exciting. You are Miss Dana Point. I'd love to see your sash.
Yes, it is right here. The official Miss USA California 2025 Miss Dana Point. I love it too. It's just so fun. It's so fun to just be a girl.
It is.
Yeah.
A girly girl.
Exactly.
Are there any lasting words that you would love people to know?
Just keep going and push ahead and believe in yourself, and don't get caught up in the mundane of life just because you're supposed to, because even if things don't work out or seem like they're working out, like the odds are in your favor if you just continue pushing forward.
Yeah.
And like, I never thought that I would be walking in New York Fashion Weeks. I never thought that I would be walking in Miami Swim Weeks. I used to look at those things and be like, wow, I wish I could do that. I never thought that I would have 90,000 followers. God knows why. But
I mean, many reasons why you said, but yeah.
But yes, ultimately, like, manifestation is real. Where you put your energy is more real. And yeah, I think just believing in yourself when no one else does is a really, really hard thing to do. But the more that you can do that, the more coins that you can put in your bank, like the better off you will be for the long term. Oh, and I guess the last thing I should say, I'm 29. I thought my life was going to be over at this point, you know? Like, and it's really like all of these things are just getting started for me. And
You've learned very quickly in life.
well,
You're not even 30.
yeah.
And everything that you've been through and overcame, I can't even imagine what's to come.
And yeah,
As for so,
but it's exciting,
Yeah.
you know, and it is empowering. And all I can say is if I can do it, I'm just a little small town gal, then anybody can do it.
I love that. I really, really love this talk and everything that you shared. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. Where can people find you and keep up with you?
Yes. Instagram. I would love to be more active on TikTok, but I'm not. Maybe I'll add that to my list of things to do. But yeah, Instagram, Monique Kivella.
What's your handle? How do you?
MoniqueKivella.
Nice.
Monique Kivella. Yes.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you follow Monique and like and subscribe to my page and come again. Yay.
So fun. I loved it.
Me too.